Hey, Damon DiMarco here for CreateX3.com. Thank you so much for coming. And before we go any further, please hit subscribe and ring the bell. Make sure that you get in on all the latest videos I create in the hopes that they help you lead a more creative life. So I open the floor to an AMA Ask Me Anything marathon. People are writing in and they're asking all sorts of questions. And it's really my privilege to share with you my answers to some of your questions in the hopes that they might help you figure out your creative process. They're just suggestions. If they work for you, great. If they don't work for you, discard them. Trumpet Guy 723 asks if I have any advice for overcoming writer's block. Sure thing, Trumpet Guy. I can share with you my top 3, I'm going to make it top 4, suggestions for overcoming writer's block. It actually hasn't happened to me in a very long time, mostly because I can't let it happen to me. I'm a professional writer, and so when I get an assignment, I have to finish it. But maybe what I'm really trying to say is there are certain lifestyle questions that keep you from having writer's block. The first suggestion, tip number 1 for overcoming writer's block is you have to let yourself be bored. What do I mean by that? People are always coming to me and they're saying, I'm not getting any work done. And I'm like, great, what did you do last night? And they're like, well, I binge watched this Netflix series. What are you talking about? And you didn't get any good writing done? How strange. We have so many demands for our attention. Our phones keep going bing, 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 and our computers go, you have a message and you've got emails, and there's Netflix, and there's Amazon Prime, and there's Hulu. And this is on top of family responsibilities and friendship obligations and things like that. And it's amazing to me that, so many people say, oh gosh, I'd really love to get some good writing done, but they don't build that into their schedule. And even more than that, they don't build in the time where there's absolutely none of this stuff allowed to come into your space. Where do you think the ideas are going to come from? They come from boredom. They come from the vacuum. It's absolutely essential that you give yourself time to do nothing. Stare at the wall. If you allot yourself 2 or 3 hours a day to be a writer, you have to sit down and do that work. If nothing comes out of you, great. Sit down anyway. If you find yourself just staring at your shoes, that's the work for the day. It may seem like a sacrifice to a lot of people. It's not if you're really into your work. If you're committed to doing your work, that's one of the reasons why writers don't always fit in with the rest of mainstream society. We're actually doing the work of letting things gestate inside our minds and inside of our spirits. So yeah, we're not going to march to the same tune as everybody else because we're not allowing ourselves to go by the same playbook. We rarely go to tailgate parties. It's not that we're antisocial. As a matter of fact, most writers I know are very social people to a limited extent. They know that, hey, this is great. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do this. I'm going to see this person who I care about very, very much. I'm going to see these people over here. But then at the end of the day, if they haven't done their work, they don't feel right about themselves. So that's what I mean about boredom. You have to cultivate that inner space where the only thing that can really fill it is you sitting down with a notepad, a pen, a paper, pencil, in my case, typewriters, because again, they're not very distracting, and you get the work done. And depending on what your lifestyle is, if you've got a job that you got to go to, at least get an hour in. But if you're a professional, you've got to balance 3 or 4 different projects usually. A screenplay, a corporate piece that you're getting out the door for a freelance client, a book that you've got under contract. You've got to keep all that in stasis at the same time. And the only way you can really do that is by not accepting a bombardment of other input. So trick number 1 to combat writer's block, let yourself be bored. There used to be a great magazine in Atlanta called Creative Loafing. And that's kind of the thing, you have to give yourself time to do absolutely nothing. And people say, well, you're not working. And you're like, yeah, I'm actually working very, very hard right now by doing absolutely nothing. It's the only way that the cup is going to fill itself back up. It's the only way that the wellspring of your creativity is going to lead to anything else. You have to let yourself be empty before you can be full. In today's society, emptiness is not valued. We want to fill all of our time with all this stuff going on, media and the news and the TV shows and the film and Entertainment Tonight and all that. You've got to kind of turn all that off. Turn the TV off. Close your laptop. Shut your cell phone off. If you're finding yourself knee-jerk going to your phone all the time, that's not a good thing. Make sure that you use technology and that technology does not use you. Sit in a room for a while and just let yourself drift and see what comes to you. You might also want to try meditation. I did a video about that. Very important part of my creative process. Let yourself be bored. Let yourself get so restless that the only outlet that you give yourself is to write something down. And then I think you'll find it becomes rather addictive and it just keeps flowing and flowing and flowing if you are disciplined enough to let that be your only real outlet. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 for overcoming writer's block: write about your writer's block. One of the exercises that I have used many different times in many different ways over the years is Julia Cameron's morning pages. I'll leave a link to her book, The Artist's Way, right down here in the comments. You should pick that up. It's kind of a self-help book for artists of every stripe: writers, actors, painters, musicians. And one of the best and first exercises that she says is that you should get up every morning and you should do stream of conscious writing, where anything that is going on in your head, you just blast out onto a page in whatever format that you're writing in, either pen, pencil, etc. There's no wrong way to do a morning page. If it's in your head, you put it down. The only wrong way to do a morning page really is to not do the pages, or to not be really honest with yourself about what's going on inside you at that moment. There's a big one. But if you're having trouble writing, then the best thing to do about it is run right into the writer's block by writing about why you're blocked. It works like a charm. Just start off by saying, I'm blocked today, and it makes me feel icky, and I don't like sitting here. It makes my lower back throb, and I feel like I'm a talentless person, and it brings up all these horrible things about when I was in middle school, and people used to make fun of me because I had no talent, and all these icky memories and feelings that came up for me at that time. It was kind of absurdly personal. What happens is that if you're writing about that, then you're writing about that. Do you see what I'm talking about? You've taken the bad thing and you've made it into a good thing by running straight at it and writing about it. You're writing about your writer's block. And if it turns out to be you just bitching about shit, who cares? Get it out. Get it out of you and get it onto a page. And my experience of it is sometimes what happens is it feels like you're priming the pump. If you've ever worked a pump before, you realize this, you got to put a little water into the top of the pump to prime the pump so that more water will come out. That's one way that it works. Another thing that I've found happens is that when I'm writing these pages where all sorts of things come out, it's not always negative stuff, ideas that are long buried or just, they're very nascent, they're just kind of forming, filter down onto the page. And sometimes it feels like a volume of crap moving through a pipe up from the interior of the spirit and out. But the surprising thing is that sometimes what happens is if you go through those pages a month or two later, something like that, you'll find that there's a bunch of diamonds in there. I'm talking about great ideas for characters, great ideas for stories, observations that you realize, oh my God, I never actually realized that's true before. But there it is on the page, either in your handwriting or using your typewriter or whatever medium you're using. There it is. You put it down and then you start to realize, maybe I'm not so terrible at this after all. So that's step number 2. Again, for CreateX3.com, my name is Damon DiMarco. Thank you so much for coming. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay creative. One more thing. This is the part where I put in a plug for my ongoing writer's course, Break Your Story. If you're the kind of person you've been struggling for years with a story idea, it could be a novel, it could be a screenplay, it could be a play for the stage. Either you just haven't been able to get it down on paper for some reason, or you've tried to get it down on paper, you get halfway through it and you're like, I'm lost. Break Your Story is exactly what you need. It's the technique I developed for myself. I use it pretty much every day professionally, and the moment I started to use it, things took off in a big way for me. It's a 6-week course. The classes take place online, so you can study with us anywhere in the world. I confine each section of the class to 5 students. That way you get maximum personal attention. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. There's going to be a lot of open dialogue between us, where I'm literally looking at your outline as it grows, and we're talking through it, and you're writing, and you give it to me, and I say, that's great. I love this. This makes sense to me. This part right here, could you tell me what you meant by that? Have you thought about this idea? Have you thought about that idea? Collaboration of this type with a working professional when I was a lot younger really helped me out a lot. And my goal is to really help you out a lot so that you won't need me to collaborate with you anymore, to do your own work in your own way, to your own level of mastery, to your own level of satisfaction. That's the goal of this course. The Break Your Story course is a great way not only to get you started, but to show you how story structure works and why it's important, to get an idea of your story story and really nail some things down before you actually go in there and do it. And it still leaves plenty of room to improvise. So if you're one of those people who says, well, plots, I don't like plotting. No, no, no. I don't like it very much either. At least I didn't until I realized that the best way to be spontaneous is to actually plan things out. And I'll leave it at that. If you're interested in the Break Your Story course, again, go to createx3.com/courses, createx3.com/courses.